As a wee lad, I'd race home after school to place a FIFA 2002 disc into my PlayStation, beginning my ritual of turning it on, waiting 3 minutes, and then restarting it, repeating this again and again before finally playing the game, and smashing 12 past Maribor Lascaux. While the PlayStation 1 startup intro was a nice bonus, the holy grail was this opening cinematic to the game. There's the obvious, chunky, polygonal perfection of the PlayStation, but it was the music playing in the background, the Gorillaz song 19/2000 open bracket Soul Child remix close bracket that got my neurons firing. My musical knowledge had consisted of nursery rhymes, one tape my dad had played on repeat, and music on the school bus. This FIFA 2002 disc was the first time I had agency over the music I wanted to listen to. What I wanted to listen to was the Gorillaz 19/2000 open bracket Soul Child remix close bracket. That was a legitimate formative experience for me when it comes to music. Probably only beaten out by my older brother filling my first iPod with some of his music after I had spent 2 weeks listening to the only song I put on it, Ruby by the Kaiser Chiefs, on repeat. The FIFA games I played in my childhood introduced me to new genres of music and bands that I'm still listening to nearly a quarter of a century later. So while you may think of the FIFA soundtrack as the thing which annoys you after watching a 10-year-old from Slovakia hit the griddy at 7-0, I view it as having the potential to be way more than just a random collection of songs. A good FIFA soundtrack can serve as a bridge from the music that you hear as a child, giving you the opportunity to form a more balanced and well-rounded music taste. There's a reason there's so many TikTok videos about FIFA soundtracks and comments under YouTube videos of old FIFA songs. Yes, on the most basic level, they were able to find a song they enjoyed playing the game, but I think it also speaks to that deeper influence that it can have. So why are FIFA games so effective at doing this job? What makes a good and a bad FIFA soundtrack? And does FIFA still hold this power 20 or so years in the future? The phenomenon of having one song introduce you to a whole new world of music is of course something that can happen anywhere music is encountered. From live shows, a recommendation from a friend, or an advert for dog food. The closest comparison might be a song featured in a movie or a TV show, but a lot of the time your attention is divided between what's being shown and the music. The song plays only once, often in an abridged or heavily edited form, and then you're straight back to focusing on the narrative. When finding a song like this, there has to be an immediate resonance, along with remembering to go back and find and then listen to the full version later. But when you buy a FIFA game, you're almost forced to sit down and listen to the music included. It helps to digest and get used to new forms of music in a way that's a lot harder to replicate outside of the medium in question. A division of your attention is nearly completely absent, as it takes none of your brain power to wait on a loading screen or go through the motions of navigating a set of game menus for the umpteenth time, giving you time to warm to a more challenging song or a genre that you wouldn't necessarily have given the time of day. FIFA is also a game which is mostly played solo, so there are rarely distractions from chatting with your friends like there would be in a COD lobby. This means FIFA gets 50 or so free shots at expanding your music taste with every single game that you buy. The FIFA soundtrack is in a uniquely strong position to influence the music taste of generation after generation thanks to the game's core makeup, its ubiquity, and its target audience. I don't think there's any doubting that's a potent combination of factors for having a serious say in developing musical tastes. So how does FIFA build a soundtrack to best take advantage of their rather unique position? There's lots of interviews out there vaguely tiptoeing around how they choose songs for the games. It's clear from picking through the corporate speak that it's considered a big part of development and a lot of effort is put into it. They don't really go into any level of detail though. From looking at a number of the game's soundtracks, I think their basic blueprint is as follows. About half of the songs are safe, basic, crowd-pleasing, well-known songs, or songs by well-known artists at a minimum. Think of songs like Black and Gold by Sam Sparro, or artists like Stormzy, The Killers, Billie Eilish and Avicii. I do think that they are the weakest part of a FIFA soundtrack, but even so, it's clear why they're necessary, as they form the backbone of the score, making it nice and easy to listen to for even the most casual of music listeners, having something recognisable for them to fall back on throughout. They do a pretty good job of avoiding the worst of the intolerable contemporary pop music at the time of each edition. Considering some of the eras that FIFA has lived through, that's a pretty impressive accomplishment. Imagine having to sit and listen to Dance Monkey 100 times over the course of a year. Your mental health would be in trouble. The other part of the soundtrack is where I think FIFA excels, at creating a selection of music which can help to bridge the gap in musical knowledge and introduce someone into something new they might like. The band that I played on repeat, the Gorillaz, are a perfect example. They can package up some very technical or alternative music into a very listenable and accessible, but still high quality package. It's so much easier to explore a new genre of music when you have a nice steady set of building blocks from things that you're already comfortable with. Listening to the Gorillaz lets you get used to it and then ask, who is this guy with the mask? Leading to you, or me, desperately scrounging the depths of the internet for the best underground hip-hop records for the next 15 years, having used MF Doom as your jumping off point. This goes for any and every genre, and I think FIFA has done a very good job in their soundtracks of picking out bands who are good at doing that, primarily in the area of rock and electronic music, with more of a focus on hip-hop as things have progressed. Bands like MGMT, LCD Soundsystem, Franz Ferdinand, Stone Roses, The Streets, Radiohead, Justice, and Queens of the Stone Age were all by no means bands that nobody had heard of, although FIFA absolutely has pulled out a couple of bangers in that regard. They were, however, well-curated entry points into a number of different genres. To start with, this was in all likelihood a cost limitation decision. I assume it's a bit cheaper to try and go a bit more niche with your music selections and bulk it out with indie and critical darlings rather than picking 100 Drake, Sabrina Carpenter and Taylor Swift songs. Regardless of the reasoning for the decision, the execution of the song selection and the effect that it has is very strong. It results in a soundtrack which has a good amount of high quality indie and alternative music. Considering the size that the FIFA franchise grew to, that's a pretty remarkable thing. The rest of the soundtrack is usually made up of a smattering of foreign tracks, which I'm underqualified to make a judgment of quality on, but that I always enjoy hearing for something different. So what actually makes a bad soundtrack for a sports video game? I actually turned into more of a Pro Evolution Soccer child and adult, despite my brief love affair with my 2002 FIFA disc. This is possibly the least surprising fact of all time, considering I'm a music nerd who's mourning the loss of Eurosport and has a YouTube channel for video essays about football. But it can't be denied that FIFA is stronger than Pro Evo when it comes down to the music. It does feel like Pro Evo doesn't even really try, and when it does, it's much more of a foreign product with a different first language and culture where it's produced. So it's tough to make direct comparisons. For this case study of a bad soundtrack, to contrast with FIFA, I'm going to go outside the realms of football and instead move to football. Madden 12 was one of the last good entries in the series in terms of gameplay. Sadly, the same cannot be said for the musical structure that was constructed within it. Its first major issue, which lays a poor foundation for things to come, is simply a lack of songs. Madden 12's soundtrack is seriously lacking in variety, just like my iPod when I was listening exclusively to the song Ruby by the Kaiser Chiefs on repeat for 2 weeks straight. Containing a grand total of 22 songs, FIFA's entry for the same year boasted nearly double that amount with 39. If there was a perfectly constructed set of 22 songs, it's possible that this wouldn't be a problem. It just puts everything on shaky ground to start with. The project planning and the division of space was also a problem. By my count, there's 15 hip-hop tracks, 6 rock songs, and 1 dubstep song. Similar to the issue with the amount of songs, if executed perfectly, this could be fine. But it leaves you with little margin for error. The bigger problem is the extremely full-on, in-your-face, one-note nature of what they built. This was something I'd never really appreciated about FIFA soundtracks until I'd seen it done as badly as this. The more intense, repetitive, and in-your-face the song, the higher the chance of it grating on you with each listen, even if it's a song that you enjoy. I think an infamous example of it going wrong in FIFA is the "No Water in the Water Fountain" track, which I know just caused Vietnam-style flashbacks for a large chunk of people. Over half the songs on Madden 12 are ones which I'd describe as very intense. Even if you're the biggest fan in the world of the very 2012 Korn and Skrillex metal/dubstep mashup that's on display here, the nature of the song means that you notice it every single time it comes on, and it comes on a lot due to the aforementioned soundtrack size. With Madden being a game that involves spending a lot of time in the menus, with drafting, trading, and roster management, the time to muting the whole soundtrack is greatly decreased when a song can't just melt into the background when it needs to. I could see a soundtrack like this working fine for some kind of action game where you're only in the menu when the game is paused or picking characters, etc. Here, it's just not a well thought out living space for the day-to-day use that a sports game like Madden needs. I'm not saying that the FIFA soundtrack is the equivalent of lo-fi beats to study to. They throw plenty of energetic and interesting songs into the mix, but they vary the intensity of the songs that they choose, with the bass line generally being on the lower side of things. This, when combined with the larger selection, really does help to prevent soundtrack burnout. Sadly, the most important factor of all, the very building blocks of the soundtrack, the songs themselves, are just flat out bad. I've been careful in this video, when discussing songs, to try and avoid discussions around the pure quality of the music, as it's a very subjective matter on the most part. I have my preferences, and I disagree with a lot of the common picks for best FIFA songs. I can recognise their role and value to others though, even if that person isn't me. I hope that tells you something, when I don't hesitate for even a second to call some of this absolutely, irredeemably bad. There's a couple of decent tracks at the top of the list if you're in the right mood. Nas and Common are far from their best, but provide decent quality, and 6 Foot, 7 Foot is some of Lil Wayne's most memorable bars. I can even excuse some quirked up white boy hip-hop from Canada's finest Classified. There's some absolute stinkers though. Chip, who's actually one of the more talented UK artists when he's motivated, was in the middle of one of his terrible pop rap phases, teaming up with everybody's favourite, non-problematic co-star Chris Brown for the song Champion. The exact kind of vapid, terribly aging, sellout single which FIFA generally do pretty well at avoiding. Chipmunk sounds like Mozart in his prime, boffing out an elegant symphony when compared to the abomination that is the rock-rap mashup of Queen's We Will Rock You, titled I Want It All, by former Terror Squad member Armageddon. Did you know you could buy Terror Squad's hit song Lean Back as a digital item in the game Fortnite for only 500 V-Bucks in the year of our Lord 2025? Isn't modern gaming in a strange place right now? Seemingly, it was created for the film Sucker Punch, which rocks a beautiful 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll link the song down below so you can give it a shot yourself, but the fact that a movie containing this song was able to score as highly as 22% is something of a miracle. Assuming you hear about 2 songs on average between games, you have a 1 in 15 chance of hearing that blaring out from your TV speakers between every game, and that's ignoring all of the other very questionable songs on here. It's not a nice welcoming home that Madden 12 built for the player with this soundtrack. It's an unsettling, cold house of crumbling blocks built on sand, with the kitchen on the 2nd floor and a front door which opens into the bedroom. I still do have doubts about one thing: the effects of the passage of time. As I'm sure you can tell from the songs and the games that I have been referencing, I am far from being a regular FIFA or EA Sports FC player these days. Everything that I've talked about has been things that were true in my childhood. Does it still hold? It's possible that time could have eroded the quality of the soundtracks. The last FIFA I had intimate knowledge of was FIFA 15 after all. Looking at the current soundtrack, there's definitely been an inflation in the size of it, which should be a good thing as long as the quality of the tracks stays strong. I can't pretend to recognise every artist that's present, but I'm happy to fight against the boomer stereotype by knowing enough of the artists to say that they're still following a similar philosophy when it comes to song selection. There's definitely more of an emphasis on hip-hop than when I was younger, when the predominant genre was indie rock. That's understandable given its rapid rise in popularity towards being a dominant popular genre in the UK and Ireland since the turn of the millennium. There's still popular, accessible indie rock anthems present, with a band like Fontaines DC, Mercury Prize nominee Nia Archives, or winner The Ezra Collective, and critical darlings such as Self-Esteem or St. Vincent. My gut feeling is that the quality has been slightly more diluted with the increase in soundtrack size, but it's hard to tell if that's just me being a bit older and more out of touch. There's absolutely still good tracks there for people who are listening to discover new music. What could have way more of an impact is everything outside of the game, particularly with wider, more convenient access to the internet and the proliferation of smartphones. There's many more ways to discover new music in the year 2025 than there were in 2005, with access to algorithmically pushed music suggestions, instant streaming of any song possible, and the constant scrolling on TikTok or YouTube. I think some of the unique strengths of FIFA as a tool for discovering new music have certainly been eroded, but a lot of the points from earlier still stand. What could be a lot more detrimental is the possibility of watching a YouTube video, something on Netflix, or firing up Spotify as you plow through your career mode. Back in my day, unless you had some bizarre 2-TV setup, if you had FIFA on the TV, then 100% of your visual and audio attention were placed on the game. I guess it remains to be seen if the youngsters of today will reminisce as strongly as I do about the formative sports game soundtracks that they had when they were growing up.